I don't know if you've seen it too, but I've noticed this pattern throughout the past few months is that a lot of the bigger commentary channels on the lines of Some Ordinary Gamers, Critical, Penguin Zero Online, they're getting a lot of shit lately for, I guess, being more middle of the road and accused of being too scared to really take a position that potentially might be offensive to one part of their audience. And because of the fact that they're too scared to alienate a specific part of their audience and they don't want to offend anyone, a lot of people have been shitting on them for that and saying that they're too pussy to actually give their real beliefs. And I think, to a certain extent, this is semi-true. You could kind of take some truth to the situation, but I think only about 25%. And I think bigger channels, especially in the commentary scene, like we got Critical and Mutahar, I think both of them are a very big net benefit to the platform in general. Because very rarely do you see specifically a channel like Critical, who's at 13 million subs or something crazy at his size, give his opinions day in and day out about mainly all kind of YouTube drama. I mean, he covers the majority of things that are going on in the internet and almost breaks stories sometimes, or at least greatly shifts the court of public opinion about a specific story because of his huge reach about it. I mean, some of the best cases we saw from this is when back in 2020, I believe, when H3H3 and Keemstar both had their huge beef, where H3H3 dropped his content nuke on Keemstar. One of the really weird parts of that video from Ethan was that he started going after Keemstar's sponsorships, G Fuel, and saying that Keemstar shouldn't be sponsored because of the amount of offensive things that he says. And Charlie came out with his video completely shifting the public discourse about this Ethan video, which was greatly, very much heavily received well amongst the masses, and Keemstar was getting shit on a lot by the internet and by the greater population of people, you know, because Keemstar in of itself is already such a big punching bag on the internet that people love to shit on. But Charlie came with a unique stance, not entirely defending Keemstar, because a lot of the things he did are kind of indefensible that Ethan called out in that video, but he gave the stance of how it would be detrimental to the platform if we start attacking people's sponsorships just because we have a problem with them or just for a YouTube beef. And that Ethan and Klein, Keemstar, they could have all the fights they want, but if we start playing these cancel games, I guess, reaching out to sponsorships saying, hey, did you know that your client is said the N-word like 7 years ago? That's going to be greatly detrimental to the grand scheme of things and the general, I guess, climate of YouTubers, you know what I mean? So that was a very important video that Charlie made. And then skip forward just a couple months ago in 2023 when iDubbbz came out with his apology video, apologizing for all of his past content cops being a complete cuck. Charlie came out with his video that definitely was an opinion that wasn't received 100% well, saying that Ian completely over-exaggerated the things he did in his past content and that he was self-flagellating himself to such a high degree that it made it obnoxious and almost laughable that he's trying to act like he owned slaves back in the day when in reality he just made a whole bunch of edgy jokes and edgy slurs in context. It's not like he was going up to black people calling them the N-word. No, it was all in a comedic context. So Charlie just made the take that, hey, you know what, these things were cringe in the past. iDubbbz, you probably shouldn't have been doing this, and you could disavow your past actions saying, hey, I've grown from this, but you don't have to make a whole apology video on your hands and knees apologizing to all black people in the world just because you made some edgy jokes back in 2016. And that video from Charlie was received pretty horribly. I would say the majority of people who saw that, you could see the comment section, were shitting on Charlie. Bigger YouTubers like D'Angelo Wallace, which I personally think is a dipshit, but he made a whole 40-minute video with millions of views saying how Charlie had a bad take here. And I think situations like this are important to highlight that people like Critical aren't just the middle of the road opinion. He isn't always just going to give uncontroversial take to appease his audience. That's absolutely not what his channel's about. For the most part, it's very believable that he just gives his real opinions and thoughts about all the situations he talks about. And a similar thing with Mutahar and Some Ordinary Gamers. I mean, these, for the most part, seem like genuine people. And I don't think there's much evidence to the contrary to show that they're just pandering to a certain audience and that they're too scared to show their real opinions about a situation. This isn't any Hassan Piker type of grifter bullshit where you're living in a $3 million mansion yet espouse socialist beliefs and say that you should give to the poor and denounce capitalism while you're the biggest fucking capitalist on Twitch. I mean, this guy spends thousands of dollars on t-shirts and then tells us how bad capitalism is. Like, dude, what the fuck? But I saw some guy, another commentary channel, make a video about this, claiming that they're middle of the road and that they're too scared to give their real beliefs, and it kind of sums up the main opinion, so I wanted to go over this.
Okay, this kind of ties into a broader issue I have with people like Mutahar, Charlie, and these boring fence-sitting centrist commentary channels. They want to spunk out opinions, but they almost always make sure to have the most broadly appealing, normie, milquetoast, pandering, dogpile on the most socially acceptable person to shit on this week takes.
I mean, I just don't think there's enough evidence to back this up here. I think this is a situation where a certain channel or a certain person gets so popular and so big that everyone's going to shit on them for some weird reason. You know what I mean? It's like any big athlete, any big band, any big musician. Once they get to a certain status of popularity, someone's randomly going to find a reason to shit on them for realistically something that isn't that big of a deal and isn't really backed up by any facts. I've seen multiple tweets that go very viral of mocking Charlie, saying, in quotes, saying, "Hey, what's up guys? I'm here to give the very controversial opinion today that both sides on the situation are bad." And you know, at the end of the day, like, sure, that may be some of the opinions that people like Critical and Mutahar give at from time to time. Maybe even you might say it's the majority, you know? But these aren't people who just say blatant dumb shit that gets easily proven wrong. Like, even if they do have an argument against both sides in a specific situation or drama, it's usually backed up by something rational, and that's why they have the status that they do. That's why they're as big as they are. And as I mentioned earlier, you may call Critical boring, I guess, for his monotone voice or the way he does his kind of nonchalant, unedited content, but he isn't afraid to give his opinions here. He gives his actual thought out opinion about any specific topic that is genuine. He doesn't fake anything for just a video, and if he thinks it's too offensive or not, you know what I mean? He usually does his due diligence in all situations and speaks his mind. And you know, this recent hatred is especially weird because I feel like Critical should be the last person anyone goes after, because how many times do you see a big YouTuber at his status, over 10 million subscribers, completely cuck out and go all sponsorship friendly, PG friendly to make sure they earn the most amount of money as possible and to not say any controversial opinions that might mess up their career? You see that with the vast majority of YouTubers, of genuine people who reach a certain status. They eventually stop talking about anything controversial because it might jeopardize them. When Critical has not done that at all. He's gotten to his status, he's a multi-millionaire easily, and he hasn't changed one bit. It's just bizarre to think that he would be the target here when everyone else, literally 99% of other people at his fame status, don't give any controversial opinions or ever speak their mind.
They're scared to ever actually say anything with their chest that might alienate some people in their audience or catch them some heat. Like, they always want to play both sides so bad. That's why he put this lady in his tweet, so he can carve out a space for himself that says, hey, I'm not like a crazy cringe leftist. Keep that in mind while I also make fun of this guy. You know, people talk about forced wokeness in media. This is forced centrism. Okay? These guys are melatonin, they're NyQuil, they're forcing you to sleep. They are aggressively, mind-numbingly dull. You know, at least Charlie has his nipples. He has his funny turn of phrases, his way of speaking. I don't know what Mutahar offers. Talking to ChatGPT would be more interesting. This is a channel full of opinions that you can't enjoy or even hate.
Yeah, of course, you could call him boring if you just specifically don't like his content. But I feel like people like this are very beneficial to the platform. And yeah, I guess you could call them uninteresting. But look at the video you just put up on the screen right here of him talking about Vince Vintage, who is a creator who is recently getting fucked by YouTube, and I'm pretty sure had a stalker who was trying to get his channel taken down. So we have people like Mutahar to bring light to these situations where the majority of other bigger creators wouldn't even talk about this. I just feel like your anger is directed in the wrong direction here. I don't think we should be attacking these people. These should be the last people we should have a go at.
Because there's nothing there. Maybe that's too harsh, but look, I don't think this is a bad person. I don't think he's unethical. It's just a content preference thing. I just think this is a person who's lazily farming engagement by twerking for midwits. Like, I'm not saying you have to be controversial with every take, but like, it's such fluff, but it's not even entertaining fluff. You know, like people who are funny or have good editing or whatever. Oh, and I'm not just picking on Mutahar here, like he seems like a nice enough guy. But there's like this entire subgenre of commentary channels that are very similar, and I never hear anything interesting from any of them. Like, did we really need 3,000 videos all saying that the Colleen, whatever her name is, ukulele apology was dumb and cringe? All over 8 minutes long somehow.
I mean, yeah, of course a lot of people are going to talk about that because that was one of the wildest situations that was going on in recent memory on YouTube. You know what I mean? Someone gets accused of grooming and they decide to bring out a ukulele to sing a song as their apology. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are going to talk about that, and of course there isn't really any controversial opinions to have on that other than you're siding with a girl who made a retarded apology. So of course people are going to have more middle of the road and I guess obvious opinions about that situation. So I think that's a little bit of a cherry-picked example, but as I brought up in the beginning, man, I think this is just the wrong targets here. Critical does a great job. He speaks his mind. From what I've seen from some ordinary gamers, Mutahar, he does the same thing. So I just disagree, and I think these people are way overhated. They just got too big, they got too popular, and people are looking for someone to complain to for no reason. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. New videos coming out every single day on this channel, commentary stuff, and yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.